Take full responsibility for what happens to you. That's it. One of the highest forms of human maturity is accepting full responsibility. Now, I want you to think about this for a second, because this is a turning point. It's the day, you've passed from childhood to adulthood. The day you accept full responsibility for everything that happens in your life. This is where real change begins. You see, I used to have a long list of reasons why I wasn't doing well. I carried it around, and every time someone asked, why are things not working out for you? I'd pull out that list. I blamed the government, taxes, the weather. It was always too hot, too cold, too rainy. I blamed the traffic, my car, even the manufacturers for making it unreliable. I blamed everything outside of myself. I even blamed my upbringing, thinking if only I had been born into different circumstances, things would have been easier for me. I would say if only my parents had been wealthier, or if I had grown up in a better neighborhood, then I'd be successful. I blamed the school system too. I thought, if only I had had better teachers, or if they had taught me the right things, I'd be further ahead by now. I even blamed my boss. Oh yes, I blamed him for not recognizing my potential, for not promoting me, for not paying me what I thought I deserved. It was so easy to point the finger at everything around me. And you know what? The more I blamed, the more I convinced myself that I was the victim. I was powerless, or so I thought. I was stuck in my situation because everything and everyone else was keeping me there. I carried that list like a badge of honor, like a shield that protected me from having to face the truth. I remember one particular moment vividly. I was sitting in my small apartment, staring at that list of reasons, and something just clicked. It was almost like I could see myself from the outside, sitting there trapped by my own excuses. I realized that the only thing really holding me back was me. It was as if a light bulb went off, and for the first time, I saw that I was the common denominator in all of those situations. No matter what was happening around me, the only person who could change my life was me. I blamed my health too. I would say, well, I can't exercise or take care of myself because I have this condition or that problem. I used my health as an excuse to stay comfortable, to not push myself. I blamed my financial situation. How could I save or invest when I barely have enough to get by? I tell myself, I use my lack of money as an excuse not to learn about finances, not to educate myself, not to take those first small steps that could make a big difference over time. And I even blame time. Oh, this was one of my favorites. I would say, I just don't have enough time. I'm too busy. I've got too many responsibilities. It was always something. I convinced myself that if only I had more hours in the day, I could make it work. But here's the thing. Time is the one thing that is equally given to all of us. We all have 24 hours in a day, and it's up to us to decide how we use it. Blaming time was just another way for me to avoid taking responsibility. Looking back now, I realize just how much energy I wasted on blame. I was putting all of my focus on things I couldn't control instead of focusing on what I could do. And that, my friends, is the real trap of blame. It keeps you stuck. It keeps you from seeing the opportunities that are right in front of you, the changes you can make, the actions you can take to improve your situation. Blame is a thief. It steals your power, your potential, and your future. The day I decided to put down that list, everything changed. I remember it vividly. I looked at all the reasons I had been carrying around, and I realized they were just excuses. They were reasons that allowed me to stay comfortable, to avoid taking risks, to avoid failing. And once I realized that, I couldn't unsee it. I knew that if I wanted things to be different, I had to be different. I had to stop blaming and start doing. I had to start taking responsibility for my life, for my actions, for my outcomes. And let me tell you, that wasn't easy. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done, because taking responsibility means looking yourself in the mirror and admitting that you are where you are because of the choices you've made. It means acknowledging that you have the power to change, but that change requires effort. It requires discipline. It requires stepping out of your comfort zone. But it also means freedom. It means realizing that you are not at the mercy of the world. You are in control of your own destiny. So I want to challenge you today. Put down your list. Stop blaming the government, the taxes, the weather, your car, your upbringing, your boss, your health, your financial situation, or your time. None of those things are holding you back. The only thing holding you back is the belief that you can't change your circumstances. The moment you take responsibility, the moment you decide that you are in control of your life, that's the moment everything starts to change. And I promise you, once you take that step, you'll wonder why you ever waited so long. But then I learned something, and I want you to learn it today because it's worth its weight in gold. It's not what happens that determines the quality or the quantity of your life. It's not what happens. It's what you do about what happens. That's what changes everything. And I promise you, this one shift can turn your life around. This realization is like flipping a switch inside of you. You go from being a passive observer to an active participant in your life. You start to understand that no matter what happens, you have choices. You have options. You can respond differently, and you can take actions that shift the outcome in your favor. When you start thinking this way, it changes everything. Suddenly, the setbacks become opportunities for growth. The challenges become a call to action, not a reason to give up. Life throws you a curveball, and instead of letting it knock you down, you swing at it with everything you've got. This is the secret to building resilience, to becoming unstoppable. Because make no mistake, life will test you. It will test your resolve, your strength, and your character. But when you understand that it's not about what happens, but about what you do, you become empowered. You start to see challenges as just part of the journey, not the end of it. You start to see obstacles as puzzles that need solving, not roadblocks that can't be overcome. And here's the amazing part. When you start living this way, you inspire others to do the same. Your friends, your family, your colleagues, they see your courage, your strength, and they begin to realize that they too can take responsibility for their lives. Imagine for a moment that you're standing at a crossroads. One path is the easy way, where you continue to let circumstances dictate your life. You continue to blame, you continue to wait for things to change, and you hope that somehow, someday, your luck will turn around. The other path is the path of responsibility. It's a little steeper, a little rockier, and it requires more effort. But this path is the path of growth, the path of power, and the path to the life you've always dreamed of. Which path are you going to take? Are you going to wait and hope, or are you going to step up, take responsibility, and create your own future? Taking responsibility also means understanding that setbacks are a natural part of progress. No one ever achieved anything great without facing challenges, without stumbling along the way. The people we admire the most, the inventors, the leaders, the innovators, they all experienced failure. The difference is they didn't let it stop them. They didn't say, well, I guess this means I'm not cut out for this. No, they picked themselves up. They learned from their mistakes and they kept going. That's what taking responsibility is all about. It's about saying, okay, that didn't work. What can I learn from this? How can I do better next time? It's about being willing to fall, but never being willing to stay down. And I know, it can be difficult. It's tough to keep going when things aren't working out the way you hoped. It's hard to stay positive when you're faced with setback or setback. I remember a time when I was trying to launch my own small business. I put everything I had into it, time, money, energy, and it failed. I lost almost everything. I was devastated, and it would have been easy to blame the economy, the competition, or anything else. But instead, I chose to take responsibility. I asked myself what I could learn from it and how I could do better next time. It wasn't easy, but I picked myself up and tried again. And because of that failure, I learned what it really takes to succeed. Every time you choose to take responsibility, every time you choose to keep going, you are building something inside of you. You're building resilience. You're building strength. You're building the kind of character that can weather any storm. And that, my friends, is worth more than any fleeting success. Think about it. When you look back on your life, do you want to say, I waited, I hoped, I let life happen to me, Or do you want to say, I took action. I faced my challenges head on. I made mistakes, but I learned from them, and I kept moving forward. The choice is yours. Every single day, you have the opportunity to decide how you're going to respond to the circumstances in front of you. You have the power to decide what kind of life you're going to create. And it all starts with taking responsibility. And here's another thing. Taking responsibility doesn't mean doing it all alone. It doesn't mean you can't ask for help or lean on others when you need to. In fact, some of the most responsible people are those who know when to seek support. They understand that strength isn't about doing everything yourself. It's about recognizing when you need guidance, when you need encouragement, and when you need to learn from someone who has been where you want to go. I remember when I was struggling to make a big career decision, and I reached out to a mentor. Their perspective helped me see options I hadn't considered, and their support gave me the courage to move forward. Taking responsibility means using all the resources available to you. Your friends, your mentors, your community to help you move forward. Taking responsibility also means being honest with yourself. It means looking at where you are and acknowledging the role you've played in getting there. It's not about being harsh or critical. It's about being real. It's about looking at your habits, your choices, and your actions, and being willing to change the ones that aren't serving you. If you're not where you want to be, ask yourself why. What are you doing that is holding you back? What changes do you need to make? This kind of honesty can be difficult, but it's also incredibly freeing. Because once you see the truth, you can do something about it. You can take action. You can make different choices. You might be thinking, but what if I take responsibility and I fail? Let me tell you something. Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is a part of success. It's a stepping stone on the path to where you want to go. Every failure brings with it a lesson, an opportunity to grow. When you take responsibility, you're not afraid of failure. You're not afraid to take risks, to put yourself out there to try and to fail, and then to try again. Because you know that every setback is just a setup for a comeback. You know that every time you fall, you have the chance to get up stronger, smarter, and more determined. And here's one more powerful truth about taking responsibility. It changes how you see the world. Instead of seeing problems, you start to see possibilities. Instead of seeing obstacles, you start to see opportunities. You begin to understand that life is not something that happens to you. It's something you create. It's something you shape with your actions, your decisions, and your determination. And when you live this way, you become unstoppable. You become the kind of person who doesn't wait for things to get better. You make them better. You become the kind of person who doesn't hope for change. You create change. So I want you to leave here today with a commitment to take full responsibility for your life. Not just today, not just this week, but every single day. Commit to being the kind of person who steps up, who takes ownership, who creates their own future. Commit to being the captain of your ship, the master of your fate, and the creator of your destiny. It's not always going to be easy. There will be days when you want to quit, when you want to blame, when you want to take the easy way out. But I promise you, if you keep taking responsibility, if you keep pushing forward, you will create a life that you are proud of. And remember this, it doesn't matter where you start. It doesn't matter what challenges you've faced or what mistakes you've made. What matters is what you do from this point forward. You have the power to change your life, to shape your future, and to become everything you were meant to be. But it all starts with taking responsibility. So take that first step, set your sail, and go out there and create the life you've always dreamed of. See, life happens to all of us. The same wind blows on us all. The wind of disaster, the wind of opportunity, the wind of change. It's not the blowing of the wind that determines your destination. It's the set of your sail. And that sail is set by taking full responsibility for everything in your life. The good, the bad, and even the downright ugly. Because the moment you take ownership, you realize you have the power to do something about it. Now, don't get me wrong. It's easy to blame, Oh, blaming is easy. You don't have to get out of bed to blame somebody. You can blame right from under the covers, and some people do just that. They blame while they're hitting the snooze button for the 10th. But let me tell you, if you blame, you're giving away your power. You're saying, I'm not in control. It's somebody else's fault. And if you believe that, guess what? You're stuck with no options, no power, and no future. Imagine if a farmer looked at his fields and said, well, I hope the government sends some rain. If he did that, he'd be in trouble. No, he prepares the soil, plants the seed, pulls the weeds. He does what he can do. He can't control the weather, but he controls his actions. And he knows if he does his part, nature tends to do its part. That's what life is like. You do your part. You plant, you cultivate, you work. And sure, sometimes the storms will come. Sometimes there'll be a drought. But you adapt, you learn, and you keep taking responsibility. And here's the real secret. Responsibility is empowering. You might think it's a burden, but it's not. It's actually the key to freedom. When you blame others, you're giving them control over your life. But when you take full responsibility, you regain control. Suddenly, you can do something about it. Suddenly, it's not about what they did, it's about what you can do. And that, my friends, is the most empowering realization you can ever have. Now, let me be clear. Accepting responsibility isn't about beating yourself up. Oh no, don't do that. Some people think responsibility means if I'm not where I want to be, then I'm a failure. I should be ashamed. No, no. Responsibility isn't about shame. It's about potential. It's about saying, okay, I may not be where I want to be, but I'm the one who can change that. It's about stepping up and saying, if it's to be, it's up to me. No blame, no shame. Just action, just power, just ownership. You know, I remember a time when I was broke. I mean, flat out, pennies in my pocket, broke. I looked at my life and I realized I had been waiting for something outside of me to change, waiting for the government to change, waiting for the economy to change, waiting for my luck to change. And then one day, it hit me. I wasn't going to get anywhere until I changed. So I did. I started reading, learning, growing, working. I didn't wait for the weather to change. And that's what I want you to do. Set your sail. Don't wait for things to get easier. Don't wait for the world to hand you an opportunity. Create your own opportunity. Life will always be a mix of good and bad, easy and tough, success and failure. It's how you respond to it all. That determines the outcome. Think of the captain of a ship. The captain doesn't say, well, I hope the ocean is nice to me today. No, he studies the conditions, he plots a course, he makes adjustments, he takes responsibility for where the ship goes. If the wind changes, he adjusts the sails. If the storm comes, he navigates through it. He doesn't blame the ocean. He knows the ocean will do what it will do. His job is to steer the ship, no matter what happens. That's your job in life, to steer your ship. And let's be honest, sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes you have to steer through some pretty rough waters. Sometimes life knocks you down so hard, you don't even want to get up. But when you take responsibility, you realize you must get up because no one else is going to do it for you. No one else is going to live your life for you. You've got to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and keep moving forward. Not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. Because the life you want is on the other side of those rough waters. And let me say something else. It's okay to fail. Oh yes, failure is part of the process. In fact, it's one of the best teachers you'll ever have. But here's the key. When you fail, don't blame. Don't say, well, I failed because so-and-so didn't support me, or I failed because the timing wasn't right. No, say I failed because I didn't do something right, and now I'm going to figure out what that was and do it better next time. Failure is only permanent if you refuse to learn from it. Responsibility says, I'll learn, I'll grow, I'll adapt, and I'll keep going. You know, there's an old story about a man who wanted success. So he went to a wise man and asked, how can I be successful? The wise man took him to a river, walked him in waist, deep, then dunked him under the water and held him there. The man struggled, gasped for air, and finally the wise man let him up. The wise man looked at him and said, "When you want success as badly as you want it to breathe, you'll have it." Now, why do I tell you that story? Because the man in that story took responsibility for his life, and he did whatever it took. That's what responsibility does. It creates hunger, it creates drive, it creates a relentless desire to keep moving forward. Some people look at the successful folks and say, well, they're just lucky. Oh, luck. Luck has a funny way of showing up right after you've taken responsibility and put in the work. Luck loves effort. Luck loves preparation. Luck loves those who have taken responsibility and keep pushing no matter what. You want to be lucky? Take responsibility and go out there every single day, planting, cultivating, working. Luck will find you. Now, I know some of you are thinking, but you don't understand. I've got real problems. I've got circumstances holding me back. And I get it. Some circumstances are tough. Life can be tough. But let me tell you, the best way to change your circumstances is to change yourself. If you wait for everything around you to change, you could be waiting a long time. But if you take responsibility, you can change what you do, you can change how you respond, you can change how you grow, and those changes will start to change your circumstances. Taking responsibility isn't about having all the answers right away. It's about committing to finding them. It means taking action even when you're uncertain, even when you feel like you're not ready. Often we get caught up in this mindset of, I'll start when I'm ready. But here's the truth. You'll never be completely ready. There will always be something you don't know, something you're unsure of. But taking responsibility means taking action anyway. It means putting one foot in front of the other and trusting that you'll learn as you go. And when you start taking responsibility, you begin to realize just how much you are capable of. You start to see yourself as someone who can handle challenges, someone who can overcome obstacles, someone who is resourceful and resilient. And the more you see yourself in that light, the more you become that person. Responsibility is not just about what you do. It's also about who you become in the process. And that's why it's so powerful. So what do? First, stop blaming. Blame is the enemy of progress. Blame keeps you where you are. When you blame, you're putting your future in someone else's hands. Don't do that. Take back your future by taking responsibility. Second, take stock. Look at your life and ask yourself, what can I change? What can I do better? Don't wait for someone to give you permission. Just take the steps you need to take. And don't underestimate the power of small changes. Sometimes we think we need to make huge leaps. But the truth is that consistent small actions can lead to massive change over time. Take a step, then another, and soon you'll find that you've covered more ground than you ever thought possible. Third, commit to growing. Learn, read, develop new skills, push yourself. Growth isn't a one-time event. It's a lifelong commitment. The more you grow, the more capable you'll be of handling whatever comes your way. And remember, growth doesn't just happen when things are going well. Some of the most important growth happens during the toughest times. When you're challenged, when you're stretched, when you're outside your comfort zone, that's when you're growing the most. So embrace those moments. Don't run from them. Don't shrink back. Lean into them and let them shape you into a stronger, more resilient version of yourself. And here's one last thing. Taking responsibility isn't just about you. It's also about the people around you. When you take responsibility, you become an example. You become a leader. People see you stepping up and it inspires them to do the same. You might not think you're a leader, but I promise you, if you take responsibility for your life, people will follow you. They'll see your actions, they'll see your results, and they'll be motivated to make changes in their own lives. And that's one of the greatest gifts you can give to those around you, the gift of showing them what's possible. Responsibility has a ripple effect. When you take responsibility, you inspire others to take responsibility too. It could be your friends, your family, your colleagues. When they see you taking ownership of your life, they'll start to believe that they can do the same. They'll start to see that their lives are in their hands, that they have the power to make changes. And that's how you create real impact, by not only changing your life, but by empowering others to change theirs. So, where do you go from here? You start by making a decision to take responsibility for everything in your life. And I mean everything. Not just the good, but the bad, the challenging, the frustrating. You decide today that you're going to be the captain of your ship, and then you set your sail. You start taking action, you start making changes, and you keep going no matter what the winds do, no matter what the waves do. Because you're the one who decides where your ship is going, you're the one who determines your future, and you're the one who's going to make it happen. When you take full responsibility, something amazing happens. You start to see opportunities where others see obstacles. You start to see solutions where others see problems. You begin to realize that you have the ability to create the life you want, regardless of your circumstances. And that realization is life-changing. It's not going to be easy. Nothing worthwhile ever is, but it will be worth it. Take full responsibility and watch what happens. Watch the changes in your life. Watch how you start to grow, to achieve, to create the kind of life you've always wanted. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. And at the end of the day, you'll be able to look in the mirror and say, I did that. I took responsibility. I created my life. And there's no better feeling than that. Remember, you are capable of more than you think. You have more strength, more resilience, more potential than you could ever imagine. But it all starts with taking responsibility. It all starts with making the decision to be in control of your life. The journey may be long, it may be tough, but it will also be incredibly rewarding. So make that choice today, set your sail, take responsibility, and go out there and create the life you deserve. And remember, it's not about what happens, it's about what you do with what happens. That's what will make all the difference.